What's the smartest way you tested which family members actually loved you? When I turned 28, I told my entire family I'd been demoted to entry level at the tech company where I'd worked for 6 years. I said they'd restructured, and I was lucky to even keep a job at all. What I didn't tell them is that I'd actually just been promoted to senior director with a salary that made my dad's surgeon income look modest. The real story started 3 weeks earlier when I was at my brother Preston's birthday dinner. I overheard my uncle saying to my dad, "At least Preston has a real career. Banking is respectable. Tech is just a bubble waiting to burst on kids like Jack. Jack is me." I'd literally just led the team that shipped a feature that increased our user base by 40 million. But apparently, I was still the family screw-up for joining a startup. I wanted to know who actually cared about me as a person versus who only respected my title. So I called my parents and told them about my demotion over dinner. Mom's first words were, "Well, how are you going to afford your apartment now?" Dad just shook his head and said, "I told you to finish business school." I explained that they'd cut my salary by 70% and moved me to customer support. I'd have to work weekends and probably find a roommate. Mom said, "Don't expect us to bail you out. You made your choices." My brother Preston texted me later that night. Just one line. "Guess the golden child title is permanent now." I told my sister Emma at brunch that Sunday. She listened to the whole story, then said, "Maybe this is a sign to pivot to something more stable." "Like what?" I asked. "Preston knows people at Goldman if you want an intro." The only person who reacted differently was my cousin James. James works construction and never went to college. The family treats him like he's invisible at reunions. But when I told him the news, he said, "That's rough, man. You need anything? I can spot you some cash till you get back on your feet." I told him I was fine, but he insisted on buying my lunch. Over the next 2 weeks, I started mentioning little things to test the waters. Told my mom I was selling my car to save money. She said, "Public transit builds character." Mentioned to Preston that I couldn't afford to chip in for Dad's birthday golf weekend. He said, "Yeah, probably best if you sit this one out anyway." Asked Emma if she knew anyone hiring. She suddenly got very busy with wedding planning, but James kept checking in. Sent me job listings he found online, even though they were completely wrong for my field. Offered to let me crash at his place if I lost my apartment. Even showed up at my place with a six-pack after I texted that I'd had a rough day. "Those customer service people giving you hell?" he asked. I felt guilty lying to him, but I needed to see this through. My dad's birthday dinner was at the country club 3 weeks after my fake demotion. The whole extended family was there. 30 people all dressed up and pretending to care about each other. Halfway through dinner, my aunt asked loudly how my little computer job was going. Before I could answer, my mom jumped in. "Jack's going through a career transition. We're all very supportive." The way she said supportive made it clear she was anything but. Preston added, "Hey, at least you have a job, right? Some people have nothing." That's when I stood up and clinked my water glass. "Actually, I have an announcement," I said, "about my job." Everyone turned to look at me. Most of them were smirking like they expected me to announce I'd been fired completely. "I wanted to thank you all for your support these last few weeks," I continued. "It really showed me who my family is." I pulled out my phone and showed them the email, the one announcing my promotion to senior director, the one with the salary that made several jaws drop. "I've never been demoted," I said. "I've been promoted. I'm running a team of 50 now. My bonus this year is more than most of you make annually." The silence was beautiful. Preston went pale. Mom's face twisted like she'd bitten into something sour. Dad just stared at his plate. "But James," I said, turning to my cousin who looked confused as heck, "you're the only one who gave a damn when you thought I had nothing." I handed him an envelope. Inside were 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. His team, 50-yard line. His eyes went wide. "What the heck, Jack? You showed me love when there was nothing to gain," I said. "That's worth more than any promotion." Emma started to say something, but I cut her off. "I'm done here," I said. "James, you want to get out of here? Drinks are on me. Forever." I cried myself to sleep that night. The reality of how crappy my family was hitting me all at once. And when I woke up, I noticed my phone had been bombarded with dozens of texts and missed calls. The first voicemail was angry. The second was threatening. By the 10th, they were practically begging to talk about this rationally. Full story on channel. Link below.